People are finding this site. They're spending 5.5 minutes browsing. That's real engagement, but look at where they're coming from. DuckDuckGo, 204 users. Number one source, 33% of all traffic. Bing, 128 users, 21%. Yahoo, 67 users, 11%. I have 4 directory sites, same code, same architecture, same hosting. One of them gets 614 users a month. And Google, the search engine that owns 90% of the market, sends fewer users than DuckDuckGo, Bing, and Yahoo. Combined, those three send 11 times more traffic than Google. I have the data, I have the receipts, and I have an AI knowledge base that figured this out by cross-referencing 2 data sources that most people never look at side by side. Let me show you. If you're new here, I'm Kevin, 40 years in IT, building 4 niche directory sites with AI agents. Last video, I built a knowledge base using Andre Karpathy's LLM wiki pattern to track all 4 sites. I'll link it in the description if you want to catch up. This week, I pulled fresh data, fed it into the knowledge base, and the results surprised me, not because the numbers were bad, because they told a completely different story than I expected. Let's start with what everyone looks at first. Google Search Console. This only shows Google traffic. Splashpad Locator, 94 clicks, up from 91 last week. Impressions jumped 18%. Google is showing this site to more people. Splashpad Near Me, still sitting on page 1, position 8. This site is working. Holistic Vet Directory, 40 clicks, flat. Holistic Veterinarian Near Me, position 81. Actually drifted slightly worse from last week. Not great. Dog Groomer Locator. First click ever. 10 days old, impressions nearly doubled to 99, and Near Me queries are still holding page 1 positions. But here's a problem. The knowledge base flagged both State Nebraska and State Nebraska HTML showing up separately in Google's index. Same canonical URL bug we found on HVD last week. Same architecture, same bug, different site. The KB caught it automatically because the pattern was already documented. Senior Home Care Finder, still essentially invisible, 4 impressions. But I deployed the fix 2 days ago, so this data doesn't reflect that yet. If this was all I looked at, the story would be simple. Splashpad is winning. HVD is stuck. The other 2 are too new. Move on. But Google Search Console only shows you Google. I also pulled Google Analytics data. GA shows traffic from everywhere, not just Google. Holistic Vet Directory has 614 active users this month, up 16% from last week's baseline. People are finding this site. They're spending 5.5 minutes browsing. That's real engagement, but look at where they're coming from. DuckDuckGo, 204 users. Number one source, 33% of all traffic. Bing, 128 users, 21%. Yahoo, 67 users, 11%. And Google, 35 users, 6%. Fifth place, Google, the search engine that dominates the global market, is my 5th biggest traffic source, behind DuckDuckGo, direct visits, Bing, and Yahoo. The ratio of non-Google organic search to Google organic search is 11:1. Now here's what makes this even more interesting. I ran the same analysis on Splashpad Locator, and the pattern is exactly reversed. Splashpad gets 84% of its organic traffic from Google, 1 user from DuckDuckGo, 5 from Bing, 1 from Yahoo, same architecture, same hosting, same code, completely opposite traffic profiles. Why? Hi, sorry for the interruption. If you've made it this far and you're getting something out of these videos, I'd really appreciate a like or subscribe. Here's what to expect from this channel. I'm not going to walk you through building a directory site step by step. There are plenty of great videos that already do that. What I'm doing is sharing the real journey, what's working, what's not, how I'm using AI tools to solve problems, and what the numbers actually look like, almost in real time. Hopefully you'll learn something useful, or at least learn what not to do. Thanks for watching. Now back to the episode. The knowledge base connected the dots. It has the GSC data showing each site's Google positions. It has the GA data showing where traffic actually comes from. Put them together and the explanation writes itself. On Google, HVD ranks position 81 for Holistic Veterinarian Near Me, page 8. Nobody clicks that deep, but DuckDuckGo uses Bing's index under the hood. So does Yahoo, so does Ecosia, which also started sending traffic, up 56% this week. What this means is that HVD ranks much higher in Bing's index than in Google's. I don't have the exact Bing positions yet. Setting up Bing Webmaster Tools is on my list, but the traffic data is the proof. You don't get 204 users from DuckDuckGo if you're buried on page 8. SplashPad ranks on page 1 of Google for Near Me, so Google sends traffic. HVD doesn't rank on Google, but Bing's index apparently thinks HVD deserves to be found, and all the Bing-powered search engines deliver. This is not a story anyone tells in SEO conversations. The entire industry is about Google. But for a new directory site trying to get traction, Bing's ecosystem might be where you actually build your first real audience. One more thing showed up in the data that I want to flag because I think it's going to matter a lot. ChatGPT sent 15 sessions to HVD this month, and this week, 2 new AI search products appeared for the first time across the portfolio. Microsoft Copilot sent a session to HVD. Perplexity sent a session to SplashPad. That's 4 different AI search products now referring real users to my directory sites. A year ago, this traffic source didn't exist. 15 sessions from ChatGPT isn't going to change my revenue. But this channel is growing from 0, and for directory sites specifically, where the answer to "find me a holistic vet near me" is exactly the kind of structured data these models are good at surfacing, I think this becomes significant. DogGroomerLocator.com sent 14 referral sessions to HVD this month. My own sites are linking to each other and the traffic is growing. Facebook surged 5 times over, from 2 sessions to 12. Someone shared something. I don't know what, but it's another non-Google channel that's growing without me doing anything deliberate. Every week, the knowledge base ingests this data. It adds to the picture. Non-Google organic, AI referrals, cross-site referrals, social. These channels are small individually. Together, they're building a traffic base that has nothing to do with Google's opinion of my sites. Now let me update you on the actions from last week, because the knowledge base didn't just find problems, it generated a concrete fix spec. Holistic Vet Directory now has 3 new features live in production, deployed this week. All 3 were patterns proven on SplashPad Locator that the knowledge base identified as missing on HVD. First, FAQ schema on every vet listing page, auto-generated questions and answers about each practice's specialties, the species they treat, their certifications, and their location. This is structured data that Google can use to show rich results in search. Second, a Things Nearby section on every vet page. Pet stores, dog parks, pharmacies, natural health stores, all linking to Google Maps at the vet's coordinates. This adds unique, useful content to every listing page. Third, a last verified date in the schema markup, signaling freshness to search engines. These enhancements were specified in the knowledge base, handed off as a detailed spec to a separate Claude Code session, and deployed. The clock starts now. Next week's GSE data will be the first with these changes live for a full week. If Google recrawls those pages and picks up the new schema and content, we should see movement. And then something happened that I didn't expect. The knowledge base had also identified a canonical URL problem on Dog Groomer Locator. Same bug as HVD, both .html and extensionless versions of pages indexed separately in Google. So I sent the fix spec to the DGL Claude Code session. The first attempt used Netlify's wildcard pattern, what they call splats. The DGL session implemented it. I ran the verification tests from the knowledge base session, and the static pages redirected correctly, but every wildcard rule failed silently. State pages, groomer pages, category pages, all still serving both versions. My knowledge base agent diagnosed it as a rule ordering issue. Sounded reasonable. The 3 Nero 1 redirects were placed after the 200 rewrites in the config file. The DGL agent pushed back. It said, and I quote, "I disagree with the diagnosis." It pointed out that there were no 200 rewrite rules for state or category pages. The ordering theory didn't hold. What it found instead was that Netlify's splat patterns simply don't match when followed by a literal file extension. And it proved it. A groomer page that didn't exist on production returned a 404, not a redirect. If the rule was matching, you'd get a 301 even for a non-existent file. The 404 was the smoking gun. The DGL agent was right. My knowledge base agent was wrong. So we tried named placeholders instead of splats. Deployed, I ran the tests. The redirects fired this time. 301 status codes, but every single one redirected to the literal string colon slug instead of the actual page name. The placeholder syntax worked in the matching but didn't interpolate in the redirect target. 3 deploys, 3 failures, 2 different bugs. The DGL agent proposed a third approach. Instead of any pattern matching at all, generate one literal redirect rule for every page during the build process. 6,000 explicit rules. State, Alabama, HTML redirects to State, Alabama, State, Alaska, HTML redirects to State, Alaska, all the way down. No wildcards, no placeholders, no interpolation, just brute force. Netlify's limit is 100,000 rules. 6,000 fits with massive headroom. Deployed. I ran the tests. State page 301, correct destination. Groomer page 301, correct destination. Category page 301. Blog page 301. City page 301. All 5 page types verified. Every redirect pointing to the right URL. 4 deploys to get it right, and the lesson got saved to the knowledge base. Not just the fix, but the full debugging history. Splats don't work with file extensions in Netlify. Placeholders don't interpolate and redirect targets. Literal rules are the only reliable approach. So when this same pattern needs to be implemented on Senior Home Care Finder, it'll use literal rules from the start. The mistake won't repeat across the portfolio. That's what working with multiple AI agents actually looks like. They don't always agree. Sometimes the one writing the spec is wrong and the one doing the implementation catches it. Sometimes you need 3 attempts to find the approach that works. My job is to test, decide who's right, and keep things moving. And the knowledge base is what makes sure the lessons compound instead of evaporating. Here's the scorecard. HVD, 3 SEO enhancements live. Traffic growing 16% week over week from non-Google search engines. First AdSense candidate, applying late April once the enhancements have had time to be crawled. Splashpad, bot mitigation deployed, waiting for clean GA data. Organic fundamentals are strong, but I need clean numbers before applying for AdSense. Dog groomer, canonical URL fix complete after a 4 deploy saga. Sitemap fixed. Watching for Google to start indexing the 6,000 pages that are now in the sitemap with clean URLs. Senior Home Care, deployed and live. Watching for Google to start crawling. And next week, I set up Bing Webmaster Tools for all 4 sites. If Bing's index is where HVD actually ranks well, I want to see those positions directly. That data goes straight into the knowledge base. Thank you for watching my video. See you soon.